Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 141, Resolving Business Issues and Client Fires While on a Weekend Adventure. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable From the Trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, we're going to talk about a few things, a few quick things, and then I want to talk a little bit about a lesson from this weekend. Now, I am actually here late at night, not too late. It's almost 9. It's almost 9. See, I can't even talk this time of day. So this is very new, and I'll tell you why this happened. So, I won't rewind all the way, but basically, I was going to sit down and do the editing the day before, of course, because that's how I roll. And I sit down and do the editing of a solo episode, luckily, and the quality was super poor. And it was just the video quality, but it really bothered me. And I'm like, let's re-record it. And actually, let's change what I'm going to talk about, because I wasn't entirely happy with that episode anyway. So we're going to scrap it, and we're going to create one on the fly, because that's how I roll. It's not actually unusual, because a lot of times I just show up and talk about whatever I come up with that hour before. But that's what we're going to do today again. From the trenches. So first of all, that was the first segment. Rolling with the punches. Things are going to happen. Now this is 141st episode. And this is the first time this particular thing has happened, but other things have happened over time. I've actually had to, a few times, I've re-recorded for various reasons, once or a couple times. And I even had one where I actually had to redo a guest episode at one point. I can't recall exactly what happened. This was early on. And she was awesome. I think it was Lorraine. I want to say it was Lorraine. And she was kind enough to come back on and talk. I believe. I could be wrong on that. So that, things are going to happen, and you have to be prepared for that to happen. And of course, what makes this a little more interesting as well is I'm off of a 4-day weekend. I went away with my beautiful wife. We went off and spent a little holiday away for 4 days, and which is actually the crux and the core of what we're going to talk about a little bit later in this episode. But yeah, I come back, and I was hoping, I'm like, I should really edit this episode before I leave. And I said, I said that to myself. I'm not sure out loud, but I at least thought it. And I'm like, I really should do that. And I did. Of course, you get really busy right before, not only with projects and business and trying to get everything prepared for you to leave, but just the chaos of that and everything. And I just, it's easy to say, we'll do that later. I'll just do it when I get back. And of course, here I am. So it was actually a little later in the day than I had hoped as well. So it was just going into the evening. I was going to sit down and do the edit, and I was all fuzzy. I don't know what happened. It's very strange. Yeah. Anyway, so here I am. But I think it's a scenario where, like I said, you got to really roll with the punches. You have to, am I going to get upset? Am I going to get frustrated? It's a little bit frustrating because there's other things I need to do before I retire for the evening. And I have a big week in front of me. I actually have, and the reason why I am doing it tonight. Like, I could have waited till tomorrow morning and did one on a fly as well, and had one last evening off, my 4-day weekend. But Um, I have some like seriously multiple large projects going on, and actually a couple my developers are working on 2 different projects, and then one that I'm actually personally involved with because we're more in the discovery phase, and I have a lot of research and documentation, and we got a presentation to do, and I got to prepare for. So it's like it's a whole thing. I have to. I'm in charge of the technical specs for this big project. It's like a year-long project and a large site that we're working on with a partner. And I'm I'm in charge of the more hardcore tech side of things, the back end and how we're building things. Anyway, that's like tomorrow. I gotta like go right into that. So I have to get it done tonight. I have to do it. Wish me luck. I'm hoping that I don't have to do any editing. So we're going to do this perfectly, right? Okay, moving right along. So actually, as I was thinking about it tonight, though, I was thinking about the podcast in general, and I won't go into the nuts and bolts and how deep into why I started thinking about this, but I'm thinking about mixing up the format of this podcast a little bit. I haven't 100% landed yet on exactly what that looks like. I have an idea. One of the things I want to do now, the podcast has always been about stories from the trenches, entrepreneurial stories. I always like to talk to people about their entrepreneurial background and how they, their story, their journey. And more often than not, it doesn't turn out to be exactly that. It depends on the guest. Sometimes a guest likes to skip through that as fast as possible and talk about what they want to talk about. And I try to slow that down and try to get them to talk about themselves a little bit more. That doesn't always happen, and that's fine because I'm the one that let them on the podcast, or I'm the one that I never say no to anybody. I'll talk to anybody, and I'll talk about anything, and that's all fine and dandy and good. It's not. I don't blame that on the guest or anything like that, because I'm kind of open ended that way, and that's just their thing. And each guest kind of has their way and the type of podcast they want to be on, and what they want to do, and they have their agendas. My agenda is just to talk to people. I'm not here to help them sell anything. That's not the core. Like, that's not what I start with. Of course, I want them to, at the end or throughout, talk about what they do and stuff. But organically, naturally, not pitching, maybe a soft sell a little bit in there, but nothing hard, nothing, just talking specifically about their products and services and all that right off the bat. I really want to get to the core of people, and see what makes them tick and what inspired them. Why did they end up? Literally, I say this on podcasts. If you listen to this podcast, I want to know how you landed, why you became the awesome person you are today. And I've said that numerous times, and that's exactly it. I want to know what made that person, what their origin story was, who influenced them, and what challenges they overcame. And I love that. And that I don't want to be rid of. In fact, I want more of that. And I think this isn't going to be a completely different change here. I think that is actually an aspect so basically what I want to do is I want to basically focus the episodes a little bit more and zero in on a specific area, a specific story within their story, right? There's stories within. They got the overarching story, and then within there's little sub-stories and things within their business and stuff. And I want the stories to be about their business, specifically. And so it could be their entrepreneurial story alone, and just how that journey went, and making sure, of course, I will do my upfront diligent work to know that that there are lessons within that. Because within that, and that's what I love about it, within the story itself, within the journey, are oftentimes many lessons. They overcame something. They learned something. They failed at something. And the lessons from that. So within that story itself, there's so much. And that's why I want to talk about that so much. I mean, I think about my story. My goodness. I've learned the lessons and I've overcome a lot of challenges to get to where I am today. And, so that's one of the things I want to do. But the other thing is, oftentimes, and I want it to be organic. I want it to continue to, to kind of unfold. And I don't want to necessarily know where things go up front too much. But at the same time, I think it would be good to zero in ahead of time. Like, let's talk about this. Basically, when I'm talking to the guest, I will ask them, what stories within your business, what have you done? What awesome thing have you done? Or what challenge did you come across? Or how did you overcome that challenge? And tell a story around something specific and have that defined up front. And so kind of a same, because I've had this structure of, the entrepreneur story, then we kind of segue into what they're passionate about, what they do. And then that could be any of a number of things. It could all those different directions. And then we land on what they, kind of move into what they do. And we talk about that and how they can help people. Because it's all about bringing people on as well that are helping people, that are contributing, that are, doing good things for people. And so we'll still have that, but being a little more specific. So I guess it's not too much of a change, but it may change the length, but I don't want to think about it too much. I might have an episode that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 100 minutes. It don't matter, but it's going to be a little bit more structured. And I think one of the reasons I want to do that is that I can catch those instances where we're going to, where the person on the podcast, the guest, is running the show and talking just about everything they want to talk about. And again, this has happened. This isn't a recent guest like alone or anything like that. This is something over time that's not bothering me, because I love talking to people about their business. I love talking about business regardless. And I love learning what people are doing and all that stuff. I think it's great. But I want to have this is kind of a tool to where when I do my intro call, I do a pre-interview call, and just be like, kind of defining that thing we're going to talk about. And so up front I can catch, and catch somebody if they have other things in mind. But anyway, so you'll figure this out. You'll figure it out because you're going to continue to listen to the Builders Podcast, 142, 145, 150. I'll see you at 250. We're going to be around, and you'll just be listening and be like, man, I remember Matt talking about that. So that's how he did that. Okay, let's dig into what I'm going to, kind of the core of. Okay, so there's going to be an instant here at 13 minutes and 25 seconds that I got to cut out. All right. So I did do one edit, by the way, because I have an alarm that goes off at 9 o'clock at night. And this alarm just went off. And this alarm tells me I need to take a vitamin D. It's something my wife and I do because, well, my doctor told me I have to have more vitamin D. It's a whole thing. Let's not go into that now. Okay, so let's go into what I want to talk about. So basically, this weekend I went away, and when I was thinking about this episode and what I could talk about, I thought, well, this is actually a good from the trenches example of a good story that I can teach from, that I can share, and there's a lesson from it. And so when you run a business, and you're probably running one if you or want to run one if you are on listening to this podcast, you are going to want to get away. And depending on how things are structured for you, that could be easy, it could be hard, it could be difficult, it could be down the road. Or you already got it figured out. But I've designed my business in a way where I make sure that I have the ability to disappear for a few days. Not for a few weeks yet. I'm not there yet. And this is one of the things I talk to a lot of people about this type of thing, or have in the past. It's like, yeah, okay, that's what it should be, but it takes a while nothing happens overnight, and everyone's situation is different. Our businesses are complicated, and they develop in different ways. So it's very easy for somebody to say, this is what you should be doing. Shame on you for not doing it. Or, you got to get here. It's important. Doesn't matter. Forget about it. This is what you should be doing. But we're all different. We're all in different phases. We're all doing different things. Well, I'm in a phase where I can't get away for a few days because I have enough help. I have a team, and I have a project manager. I have people that can watch the ship while I'm away, for the most part. Now, could I go away for a week? I probably could. I would have to do a lot of planning, and that's the key to it. So what I want to talk about here is preparing for fires to happen, or important, things that are going to happen while you are gone, though. So that is the core of the lesson. So even though you do all this planning, right, there are things that can potentially happen while you're gone. And so you need to be prepared for that. So we'll get to that. But when I go on a trip, and we just went away, my wife and I went away for 4 days, and we didn't go too far. We are still here in the Wisconsin area. We stayed in like a nice condo, way too big for us, but we love it. Got a good deal on it, and we did that. We use that as a hub, and then we do these day trips out of it and do things we wanted to do. This time around, we went to Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin. It's basically this whole estate. That's his. There's multiple buildings and all that stuff. So we took a tour of that, and it's very, very cool. My wife was very interested in it because she's read a number of books related to Frank Lloyd Wright. I'm interested in it because I loved architecture when I was in high school. I almost became an architect. I wouldn't say almost. I thought about it for a year or two. And I think I looked at a school to do architecture, and I just never did. Anyway, I decided to become an artist instead. That's another story. I was going to be an architect, but I decided to become an artist for reasons. So we did that. We actually went to a zoo in Madison, which they got a small little zoo there we'd never been to. We went to, we did some hiking at a place called Devil's Lake, and a little hiking trail there. Did some miles along the lake there. It's really cool. It's like glaciers have formed this area, and there's big boulders and all this stuff. Did that, and all kinds of little things in between. We had a really good time. Good relaxation in there and everything. But to do that, I have to start thinking about that at least a week before. I probably think about weeks before, but at least a week before it takes me to prepare for this. Because with me, I have a team. I don't know why I never remember. I have like 10 people on my team, right? 9, 10 people. I have like four. Okay, hang on. Janine, Ellen, Avi here, and Krista. That's 5 developers. And then I got a QA person, and I got, 2 of my developers actually do design as well. I got them, and then I got a core like marketing team for us, do help with content, SEO person. I got a bunch of people, right? I got a project manager. But all these people depend on me at this stage of my game, my agency, to kind of keep the fire lit, right? I have to keep things kind of going for them. Like they gotta, even though I have a project manager who's also onboarding stuff and assigning and stuff, I do a bulk of it still. So I'm still very involved with my business at this stage. And that just is what it is. I run a web design and development agency. I don't have the budget to hire somebody right now to duplicate Matt. I'm not cheap, you know. Anyway, but I'm building it out to where I can rely on people. And I've had some of these employees have been with me for years, and I trust them. I know that they can do things and interact with some of our clients and all that stuff. But that week before, or the few days before, what I have to actually start, probably the weekend before, I really start thinking about, okay, I'm planning the week like I normally do, but now I know that I'm going to have 2 days that instead of 1 day that they're going to have things to keep them busy. So I have to make sure that they have projects going, because basically with me every day, I spend a portion of time. It's not a huge amount of time. It might be a half hour, it might be an hour, where I have to go through ClickUp, the content management or project management system. And if I stumble on my words, it is 9 o'clock at night. It's getting late. It's project management system, and I have to go in there every day. And I go through. They actually have a really cool new inbox, but I go through all of the things I've been tagged in, messages, answer questions, relay. If something was done, if they have a project they got completed, and I have to relay that to the client. I have to get assets. I have to coordinate with Donna, my project manager. I have to do all of these things, right? With at least a half hour, sometimes probably an average hour, right? Maybe it takes longer sometimes, depending on what it is. I do that every day. But now I'm not going to be here that one day, right? So that Thursday, I'm not going to be here to prepare them for Friday or answer all those questions. So I have to make sure that they're good to go to ride that out. And so what I'll do is I'll take an inventory of everything everyone's doing. And I know a couple of my developers are working on a couple hardcore big projects. They're not going to be a problem. They're plenty busy. They'll have things to do. Others I may have to make sure that, or find something, make sure they got enough lined up. And then it's just what I do is I have to look at, okay, what's happening, what projects are running, and I have to let my partners know. So I have an agency, agencies that, multiple agencies that send stuff to me. I have to make sure that they know that I'm going to be gone for a few days. And when that happened this past week, one of the agencies, scheduled a meeting on Wednesday because there was stuff we needed to talk about. And that's because there's like this whole client thing coming up, a presentation, and they needed to have a meeting before I left. So those type of things will happen. So I got to make sure everybody knows what's going on. I got to make sure my team knows what's going on, and I'm going to be gone for a few days. Now, done all that, right? I've done this numerous times, and it's always worked great, especially now with my project manager. I didn't always have a project manager. I've had one for about a year now, more than a year. That's really helpful because she has access to Zendesk. She has the ability to assign things. So if anything does happen, generally speaking, she's there to help me manage things. And then there's not people, because on the weekends, I really don't have anybody. On the weekends, it's all Matt. But see, the beautiful thing is that Matt has a business and has relationships like clients and partners that take the weekend off. No kidding. It's a beautiful thing. When I work on the weekends, I'm doing this or I'm doing other stuff. I'm working on my business. I'm not working in my business. I almost never do client work on the weekends. So anyway, so going into this, that's a beautiful thing, by the way. It's the way it should be. People need to respect your weekends. uh, but things can happen, right? Fires have happened on the weekends. But the other thing that I do, besides packing and making sure I got everything I need for those number of days away, is I take my laptop with me and I make sure that I have the tools I need for that worst case scenario. Something's going to happen. A client's going to have an issue, or a partner's going to have an issue, or a partner's client's going to have an issue, because we do a lot of white label, and so there's layers to it. But something happens, right? Somebody needs something, and you need to have the tools to help them. Now, sometimes that tool is just this thing here, right? If you're watching on video, I just shook my iPhone. And that's sufficient. A couple texts, Slack, email, whatever you're doing, and just shooting emails back and forth. But sometimes it takes a little bit more than that. If it's going to be like for me, now it's going to be different depending on the type of business you're running, right? So I'm doing web design and development. It could be something technical. So I need to have the software I use, access to all the software and services that I use while I'm sitting here in my office. And because I don't know what's going to happen. It could be anything. It could be somebody's server went down. Somebody's site crashed. There could be some kind of bug that I'm fixing, or it could just be communicating in multiple different ways. Anything could happen. I have to be prepared for everything. So a lot of times when I go away on the weekends, that laptop doesn't come out of my laptop bag. It doesn't. This is the third long weekend this year, which is awesome. I'm getting good at this. But my third long weekend this year, the first 2 weekends, I never had to take that laptop out. I don't believe I took it out the first time this year. So I never took it out. I don't remember. One thing did happen. What did happen? All right, let me think. I'm thinking on the fly. Okay, not doing any editing today. Something did happen where I had to help. Oh, I know that. Oh, right. Yeah, that was a little different. Oh, I can wrap in a second story. That was actually the last time we went. It was earlier this summer, and I was leaving. So there's another lesson. There's so many lessons. I was leaving, and suddenly I got an email that morning. I was leaving from a client, and there was errors. We were working on an integration with Salesforce, and the Salesforce team they have was freaking out because something happened with that integration, or the testing we were doing. They were confused by something, and it looked like this major fire. Really, I don't know how. I don't think it wasn't. It was very fixable. I think we had it fixed like in 5 minutes, but it was nothing too serious, but it was serious enough where I am getting ready to leave at the same time, communicating with my team to, hey guys, I need you to solve this morning, like now. So it was like a whole thing. And so that client wanted to meet with me. They needed a phone call. It was pretty like, again, nothing, it didn't break anything serious. It was just, there was confusion. So what really wasn't, okay, we won't get into that. But they wanted, I'm like, I'm headed out the door. I'm traveling. I'm not going to be able to do it. We'll handle it. Don't worry about it. It got handled. And when I came back, it was fine. That's another situation where I, all the planning I did, that came out of left field. Now I don't know, because then you have a wife and you have, a dog sitter that you need to drop off at a certain time, and all this happened. Well, something like that didn't happen this weekend. But a couple things did happen. But the point here is that I needed to make sure, even on that morning, I had my laptop with me. I never had to open it. But I got it handled through communications, and my team handled it. So that's great. Now, this weekend, everything went great first day, no problems. And, but Friday, I just, I will check. So I will check notifications. I will check emails throughout the day, a couple times a day at least. And I think that for me is super important because I want to make sure that if there is some kind of issue or something critical, high priority, that I'm on top of it. My team might not catch it. Something might happen where Matt is needed. I have specialized knowledge and specialized understanding of all our projects. There might be something that only I can answer. And luckily I have a wife that understands this, right? Even though she wants us to be having fun and doing our thing, she doesn't want that to be disturbed. And I do everything I can to not disturb it. I at the same time, that is a possibility, just the nature of my work. And so Friday happens, and I got 2 emails. Actually, it was one Zendesk ticket and 1 email that was high priority. It appeared to be high priority. Now, what happened was I was actually on that Frank Lloyd Wright tour for a couple hours. And I even said to the client or my partner, for one of them, that I'm literally on a tour right now. I'm literally on a bus, like being bussed around the property. But I will handle this as soon as I'm able to. And for the other one, it was like, okay, I can't look at this right now. As soon as I get back to my room, I will open up my laptop, and I have access to my laptop. I'll take a look at this. So there it was, like, okay, these things are happening. Now my wife knows I'm going to have to block a little bit of time when we get back. But it was still, we went about our day. This isn't something that, if you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you want to handle these things. You care, right? You should care. You love your business. You love what you do. Even though you're out and doing stuff and you're enjoying yourself, it's like, I don't get if something happens, I do care. I want to make sure that's taken care of. So I wasn't mad about it. It just was what it was. Maybe there's this underlying, why did that have to happen today? And because, these things don't happen every day. One of them was, so basically a partner's client that we're responsible for their website, pretty decent sized client. They had basically made some content changes and lost something. This disappeared on the front of the site. Some important stuff, right? Very important to them, very important to everybody involved. So Matt's going to figure it out. And then the other one was, these were both partners, actually. The other partner, the other agency, Zendesk ticket, Matt, this was a contractor site, sizable contractor. Their form disappeared on their site. Their form disappeared. Now, this was a client. We had built the site like a year ago. It takes me a minute. Okay, I got notes. I have to figure out, wait, we haven't even touched that site probably that long. And he's like, can you help with that? And I'm like, okay, when I get back to the laptop. So a few hours later, I did get back, and I think my wife went to go take a nap. I opened up my laptop, and away I went. And one of them actually, we worked through all this stuff, and we're going to actually handle it tomorrow, Monday. And yeah, nothing was really resolved. It was something that, is high priority, but it didn't have to be done that minute. So, because it's the things that are missing, it's not business ending. And they had some decisions to make. So, wait until Monday. So that's great. So I handled that. And then the other one was the form. So I go into the site, kind of refresh my memory of what's going on here. And then it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. We didn't put the forms there. We actually had forms there. But I remembered that somebody at that company, I remember replaced my forms, which kind of threw me off a little bit because I created these forms and some random person I'd never met at this company replaced them with this form widget. Like it was integration with something else going on. I don't know. But I knew that happened. I'm like, I remember I didn't have that form. I actually went to the site. So I was looking at it. I'm like, I don't even know how they added it. It's when we handed over the project and then they changed something. They changed a couple of things. So that was actually good news for me because I was able to go back to the to my partner and I said, here's the situation. I found the original email where they told me that, and here's the email. I said they changed this. Not my problem. I have no idea. If they need help with it, I'm certainly here to help. But it's like, I don't know why so-and-so didn't remember that. I'm like, that's what you got me for. I remember stuff. But so that was resolved and it didn't, it was probably an hour and a half, for both these things. And that is my story from the trenches. But the actual lesson here is I was prepared. Even though I'm on vacation and something like that happens, I have a route, right? I may not be able to drop everything. There may be a scenario I could do as much as I can on my phone. But I'm not going to have my laptop everywhere with me when I'm, I could. Like if there was some scenario where I knew there was something I had to be, maybe I would bring it with me. I don't know. The wife wouldn't be very happy with me. But that's just, but having that route. So, and the scenario was I couldn't give that to my team. My team wasn't there. My team was sleeping. My team sleeps during the day. They work later in the day, like half the day, but they, later in the day, like on a Friday, they're booking out for the weekend, right? They come in Sunday night. So I have an international team. They start trickling in later, like shortly. So no one was there. It was that weekend. And like I said, I handle things on the weekend. Matt's the developer. Matt's the designer. Matt's the everything on the weekends. I still got the skills to handle stuff. I have to until I clone myself. But I was prepared. So that's how that got resolved, though. I fixed it, and then nothing happened for the rest of the weekend. It was quiet, thankfully. But I had my laptop just in case. So to get away for a weekend, I mean, you can do it if you're prepared. It depends on the type of work you're doing. Some of us are doing work where we, if you're doing pay-per-click or you're doing some kind of, advertising things, that you're doing promotions over the weekend, or those are the type of things where you do need to always have access, and you might be pulled in on a weekend. But some people, maybe you don't need to, that never happens. But for my type of business, it does. But it's about preparing. It's about knowing it's coming up. It's about having a team that you can rely on, that you can trust. They have clients that, they have a good relationship. You have a good relationship with them too. And partners that you have a good relationship with, where they understand. Clients and your partners, strategic partner, whoever you got out there, they should understand that you're human and you need your time off to recharge and all that stuff. So those things are really important. But that's the lesson for today. I am going to. It's really just about preparing, making sure that you have a route if something really goes sideways, and that you can take care of things even when you're away. You have good communication, all that stuff. And yeah, that's it. Well, until next time, again, I'm going to be looking at the structure of our podcast. Don't expect too much to change, but we are. I really want this to be a podcast about stories, entrepreneurial stories. I don't want it to, be anything more than just learning lessons from the trenches. So hopefully these changes I'm thinking about will help in that department. All right, thanks. Until next time, take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.